Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys once again for tuning in. So just an FYI, I did link the Google form
Good morning, ladies and...
Turn that off real fast. Sorry about that. Probably echoed a bit. But anyways, the form is linked in the description below, so if you want to go ahead and put your name on it, feel free. There's absolutely no pressure. We're planning on probably picking about 50 or so people right off the bat to launch the program. Then once we get all the things in order, then we'll do a full rollout. So even if you put your name on the list, you will be contacted at one point and you'll know when everything is fully up, even if you didn't get in on the pre-launch. So again, go ahead, put your name on it. Just going to do a random pick of about 50 to maybe 100 people right off the get-go. So yes, there you go. There you have it. Link is in the description. But let's go ahead and get started because we do have a pretty busy day. I know you guys are aware. I left... The title is still titled from yesterday's stocks. Forgot to change that, but no biggie, no big deal. Okay. Qualcomm will fade for sure, most likely. So on the screen we have. Let me take some of this down. Get this down here a little bit. Come on, there you go. Yep. Shrink a little bit. There you go. I'm gonna close out level 2 in news because we don't need that. All right, so first one we have here is Facebook. Facebook reports earnings from 175 up to 200. Do you guys remember what I said just the other day on earnings reports? If you do watch them, usually whichever way it spikes first, it goes the opposite. So you can see here we spike down to 175, then it rips the other way. Now, not every time on a big earnings report does it necessarily do this, but a lot of times it does, and so it's something to pay attention to. So, yes. Facebook reports from 175 up to 202, and it's kind of hanging out. Now, I want to keep an eye on Facebook, but I can honestly say from the last couple times I've watched Facebook's earnings reports, they tend not to trade very well on earnings day. So, it's up pretty big. Honestly, I'm going to watch for it to drop out and then bounce back up for a long. That's typically how I go about watching Facebook on big earnings reports, is usually watch it for a pullback or a sell-off right out of the gates, early morning dip before it kind of bounces back up. Facebook going to the moon. Facebook already made it to the moon. It's putting its stake in the ground right now. So definitely going to watch it. Where are we up? We're all the way up to about 200. So Facebook has almost filled the gap from when it was up at $218. So it's up to 200. In theory, it still has up to probably about 214 to fill the gap. So I don't think it's going to rip to 214 today, but it's possible we still see it up and over the pre-market high level. So first thing I'm going to watch for is an early morning sell-off from profit taking and some early morning short sellers trying to hammer the stock down, and then watch it longer for a reversal play. Okay. Yeah. All right. Next one. So that's just real quick. Just take a look at Facebook. Big gap up. Pre-market high 202. Going to watch for some dip levels around 196. See if it holds from that after hours consolidation before hopping in long or anything on it. All right. Next one on the list is Microsoft. Microsoft still performing pretty well this morning. So Microsoft, out of pretty much all the earnings reports from yesterday, I believe is the only one that's truly trending right now. If you look at it, I mean, it's the only one that actually kind of held a trend going through after hours to pre-market trading sessions so far this morning. It's hard for me to want to get long on something that's up so big already. Though it's trending, again, it's still up freaking from 125 to 131. So it's up 6-7 points already. So still going to watch it long bias, but kind of have the same outlook. I'm going to see if we pull back first, kind of give us an early morning dip before hopping in. If the momentum is strong and volume is just coming in, flooding in, then yeah, I might hop in long first couple minutes on the day. But if it starts to pull back, fantastic. What I would look for is a dip down to 130. See if the 130 holds. That would be the after hours high and the support hold from pre-market today. And if that doesn't work, next level I'd probably keep an eye on would probably be around 130. So really I just got the 131 marked off. Is that right? Let me double check. Yeah, 131 and 130 marked off for potential dip buy areas right now. if it really got smoked, I mean, sure, we could see it all the way down to 129, but I just don't see it at least yet, but you never know. So keeping an eye on 131, 130, and 129.50, I guess you could say. Nice. Yeah, we will cover NBEV, definitely. Yeah, we'll go over NB. I've been following that for a long time. So there's Microsoft. I mean, even Tesla reported earnings. Tesla just kind of had like this crazy whipsawing action yesterday in their earnings report. But if you look, it kind of held its trend for the day. You can see how it was just kind of trending down. It really just continued that trend. Once its like initial report came out and did all its crazy back and forth trading, it really just kind of resumed the same trend it was going in for the day. So I would still probably stay short bias on Tesla for right now. ARCI, yeah, we can take a look at that one. It's got ARCI has like 600 million share float. Doesn't really have all that great of news. I mean, it had one press release, 600 million share float, just broke out of a pennant, so it kind of makes sense, but I'm still not crazy about it. Short float isn't really high, has 7 million shares outstanding, so it's like a 50-50 in terms of criteria met for a really good stock. Penny stock, that is. All right, so PayPal reports earnings too. PayPal's kind of grinding up. The volume isn't that heavy, so I might watch I'll probably watch PayPal on a screen, but probably not going to be my main focus, but just wanted to mention PayPal. XLNX is another one that reported earnings. This one dropped from 142 down to 121, actually. Going to be following XLNX short, so XLNX has support down around 120. It's not super strong support, but we did have a nice buyback bounce in after hours trading. So you can argue that this 121 area should hold up on a bounce for the day. So if we get this kind of panic out on XLNX down to 120s, there might be a nice little reversal play you could play here for, $1, $2, $3 a share pop. But the way it's grinding, I don't know. We'll see. Still got a lot of room down to the 120. So following this short initially, followed by a long play if the sell-off isn't too dramatic and it doesn't start just trending down. Yes, Triple M, 3M did report earnings. So 3M's down pretty big too, from 220 down to 197. Probably going to follow 3M short bias initially out of the gates, and if it can continue to hold trend, I'll stay short. If I do short it, again, I'm watching a lot of stocks, so even though I say I'm going to do this, I might not even trade one of these stocks. It all depends on how it sets up intraday and I get a feel for it. So 3M, paying attention to its short bias. Let's see where it's down to 200. Yeah, so it's down to, wait, what? Is that 200? When it hit lows of 197. Okay, hit lows of 197, which is right about there. Yeah, so this is, I would actually say that 3M's on a pretty good support system right here in this dip phase. It ran all the way up, dropped out down to here. I'll put it on the 4-hour chart. So I mean that's a pretty aggressive drop for 3M, and so to be short on this one, I don't know. That's probably not a good idea to be short on that. That's a big drop already. Yeah, you know what? I would be more neutral on the short play with 3M. I mean, I'm still going to watch it. Am I going to watch it short? Now I'm second guessing myself after we're looking at that. I'll watch first for a short play, but I kind of like where it's at in terms of support, so it might actually be more long bias on it after it's an early morning whatever, but next couple days follow at 3M long biased. ARCI, we'll take a look. So yeah, ARCI up to 673. Again, it has a 6 million share float. There's no short float, so you're not getting any help from long-term short sellers getting squeezed out of the stock. The only thing that's going to help you on the short seller side of things is intraday. Yeah, it's worth, like I said, it's worth watching this. I'm not trading any of it pre-market. I hardly ever trade pre-market. Even though it's flying, right, guys? If it's flying, that usually means you're late to the party. So whenever we see something like this moving pre-market, I don't even get excited anymore. I just go, okay, it's going. If it continues to be good, great, but I'm not going to get all excited about it and not going to get any FOMO and try and hop in. You just watch it, right? So we are moving up into a seller's area where we've had resistance at 840 before. So, it's possible. Last time we were here, we had a lot of people buy up towards the 840. They never sold out. Now we got bag holders that are just waiting to sell out as soon as it gets up to their break-even price around 840. And then you got more short sellers that are looking at the stock going, oh, we're up towards resistance. So we might see some selling pressure come in around the $8 level if it even makes it there. So now you're going, well, if it can go all the way to 8, that's really good. That's a big move. Yeah, but if it goes to 8, that's from almost $7 to 8 is $1, and it went from $4.70 to 7. So there's more risk to the downside than there is profit potential as of right now to the upside. So your risk to reward in theory would be completely off on this stock, right? So that's another way you got to look at it. Though it could pop up to 8 and that's a good move, your downside risk is still greater than upside, or it's about 1-to-1 right now, because the likelihood that ARCI drops out all the way back down to 475 on the day is not likely, but the likelihood that if it does drop out, it would drop out somewhere to 580 to 550, about a 50% retrace, which means that trade would be about a 1-to-1 profit loss, which means you really shouldn't even be taking it. But that was if you're going for the big swing. If you're going for an intraday 20-30 cent scalp, then it's completely fine, really. Right? So I know I just said a lot there and probably filled your ears up and you guys are like, whoa, that was really fast, but there's no way I'd be able to get through all this stuff in time without speaking kind of fast here today. So yeah, ARCI, it's got a 600 share float, extremely low, so you got to be careful. Chances are the spread's going to start getting, spread's really tight right now, so the market makers are trying to get you guys to buy into the stock today. When the market opens, this spread might get a little crazy. Low float, low supply, high demand. Could very, very easily see spreads of 15 to 20 cents, which is going to make it pretty challenging to trade. Okay. Qualcomm, so QCM started seeing its first kind of sell-off yesterday. Traded it a little bit after hours. Yeah, I think I did a short play here below the VWAP and this dip. Took it off. It didn't really. Yeah, I think I was like, I started shorting right here and then covered most of it on this and then realized that the strength was still too strong, so I took it off before we squeezed up. And then I think later in the day, I ended up buying the dip right here. Quick scalp trade on this dip. But either way, yeah, QCOM. So, I mean, we just know it's up really big. This is where we're starting to see it slowing down. The sell volume still hasn't outweighed the previous buy volume on the previous day. Again, it also, too, if you look at QCOM, on average, it doesn't truly move that much in a day, right? I mean, its average days are going to be about $2, $1.50, $2 a share. The only reason we're seeing such big days on it right now is because of the news. And as the news settles, the days are going to get smaller and smaller. So even though I think there's going to be a pretty good short day, don't expect it just to happen really, really fast or right away. Qualcomm just doesn't trade that big of a range on average. So once the hype settles, we're probably going to see this start fading out. And, a lot of people said, no, it's not going to fade out. It guaranteed it does, okay? There's no way that this thing spikes up this big and people don't want to sell it, okay? I mean, if you look at the past, let's go, we'll go to 20 years weekly chart. Okay, if you go to the past 20 years, I mean, this is getting up towards literally its 20-year high. I mean, sure, it might have some more room to go, but I mean, you're getting into the perfect sell zone on this stock. So definitely look for some pullbacks to come. Right now, Qualcomm just kind of doing its thing. Again, range is going to slow down, but I would start becoming Well, it depends on how you trade. If you're really like long-term Qualcomm, then I mean, I guess there's really no reason to sell. But if you're looking to short it, you should start paying attention to short bias on it. Because usually what happens, right, is we have the first big move, and then everyone tries to short, and then they get squeezed out, and then the big move happens down here, right? We're still gapping away. And again, 90%, 90% of all gaps in stock charts get filled, which means you have a gap here from $70 to $76, which means at some point that gap will be filled. How long from now? Don't know, but it just tells you that gap will most likely get filled. It has a gap fill in the chart now. Will Qualcomm go up to 96? Give me a crystal ball and I'll tell you. I have no clue. I have no clue if it's going to go to 96. You know what? Probably yes, it will go to 96 within the next 10 years because on average, stocks most likely will go up over however long. And considering inflation inflation, you have inflation every single year. So if inflation goes up, that means the cost of goods go up. Then that means the cost of businesses goes up, which means businesses become more expensive as a whole. So then in fact, their share price, in fact, would probably rise. So yes, I can tell you at some point, Qualcomm will probably reach $96. So what time is it? 8:51. All right, we'll take a look at NBEV here real fast. Okay, so yeah. Anyways, got to look at it on a 4-hour chart. So you can see it's had a pretty good curl here. Am I really interested in buying it? Yes, but am I crazy about buying it? No, because it's already had such a big move over the past 2 days. It wouldn't surprise me if it gets sold into today. This little line on the chart you see here, this is not a horizontal resistance mark. This is a downward trend line resistance right there. So it's daily, long-term downward trend line is right where the price action is at. You just can't see it here because the day hasn't truly started until market opens, so you can't see the daily candle when you're on a daily chart. But if you look at the 4-hour chart, you'll see that it's right to that level. So we're starting to see sellers come in. It's possible that the stock rips up and over today, but very unlikely because that's just not the normal fluent movement of a stock to do that. It just normally, in any situation, wouldn't do that. It would more or less would be likely that it comes down, pulls back, consolidates, curls again, and then we would break over this high and that high. So for me personally, I like it. I hope it just goes flying, but the likelihood is far less likely for it just to break over this previous high level at 670. It's more likely we'd see it go up there, get resistance, come back down, pull back, consolidate, hang around for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, and then curl again and then break. Yeah. Also, the reason this move is so big is because a lot of people were short the stock after the Walmart news, hoping that it would break down this level, and it didn't, so now they're getting squeezed out after NBEV comes out with the new press release. Okay, GrubHub, did they report? What is GRUB is a stock, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess they did report, huh? No, they didn't report. That's tomorrow. Well, after hours. I mean, GrubHub's just down. I mean, there's... Oh, sorry, I got an itch in my nose. So GrubHub probably is at some type of long-term support. I think I was actually thinking about GrubHub a while ago. Well, GrubHub reports earnings. I can't tell you which directions earnings going to go. I have no clue what the investor sentiment's going to be, but in regards to technical trading, you'd be at a buy point. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward with GrubHub. You're basically at a buy point, you know, kind of. Yeah, I mean, arguably. Down low towards this dip, consolidation rip. So, in theory, this is kind of a buy point. I don't really ever use GrubHub, so for me, it's kind of hard to buy GrubHub because I don't even use GrubHub. The only time I ever used it, it took like 2 hours to get a pizza, so I was like, nah, not cool. So, 3M, we went over 3M. So we've gone over quite a bit. We went over Microsoft, went over Facebook, went over 3M, went over Tesla a little bit, went over ARCI, went over NBEV, and so yeah. How do I track commodities? I don't really track commodities. I don't trade commodities. At some point in my life, I probably will. I just got a lot going on, so it's hard for me to get into new areas of trading, especially when you run and operate a business and you're opening a second business and you're partnering with another business, and then you have a girlfriend, and then you have life, and then you have more life, and then you have 5 siblings, two nieces, a nephew. It's a lot to keep up with in a day-to-day life. So I mean, like, I would love to trade Forex every once in a while. I would love to trade commodities, but I mean, it's just there are areas that I have to learn and develop my skill set first before I can do it. And life, as we know it, is a busy thing, and it's just hard to do everything you want to do. So yeah, it's pretty challenging. So, you know, I try and I can honestly say I am not the best when it comes to time management. I mean, like, I get stuff done, but I'd be way better if I really knew how to manage my time effectively, better than what I do, and be a little bit more organized. Like, I'm organized in some areas, but I am nowhere near as organized as I should be for the amount of things that I do. So if I were, I'd probably be way more ahead than where I am now. But again, life is a learning curve. It's just all a process, and the process is the fun part. The end point is nothing. I can tell you that. When you achieve something, right? When you hit your first $1,000 trading day, you know, you're like, oh my God, and then, you know, I mean, but at the end of the day, it's the process that's the fun part. All those days of, well, I thought I had it. What did I do wrong? And then, now I'm figuring it out. Now I have no clue what I'm doing back. You know, the process is the fun part when you look back on it. In the moment, the process sucks. But when you finally get to the end of whatever it is you're doing in life, the end part is when you look back at the process, that's the fun part, right? You know, like, I mean, I never fully finished college, but like my girlfriend and a bunch of friends, I mean, you know, in the time, they're like, man, I got this essay to do and I got this to do. And I'm only 20. I'm about to be 26 here relatively soon. So I'm not some old guy with a whole lot of wisdom for you. But, you know, from what I've learned, it's the process that's the fun part. All my friends that went to college, in the means of doing it, they're like, this sucks. I got essays, etc. And then when they look back, they're like, man, that was the best time of my life. I literally hung out with my friends. I lived in my own place. Sure, I had school, but I finally got done, and looking back on it, it wasn't really that hard. It's never really that hard. It's just that time that you have to take to do it in the moment when there's so many other things that you would rather do in that moment that makes it seem like it's hard in the moment, right? So anyways, with that being said, guys, we're going to end the stream there. Again, for those of you that are tuning in now that already haven't done so, if you look in the description of this video, the first 2 sentences or first little spot, you'll see Elite Trading Program pre-registration. It's primarily going to be focused on options and swing trading. Of course, you're going to learn way more than options and swing trading because you just are. But that's where we're kind of going with it. That's what it's primarily based around. And it's all going to be live classes, just like we stream on YouTube, just like we do in our current premium membership, just like many of you guys have already joined in before. So it's all going to be live done. We're going to have 3 mentors in there, myself included, Dave Hahn, who's been trading options for like 10 plus years, and Brandon, who is already one of our admins, who's primarily focused on options and large cap trading. Long story short, if you want to put your name on the list, the form is right there in the description of the video. Put your name on it. We're going to select probably about 50 to 100 people initially before we open up the doors fully. So if you want to go ahead and do it, feel free. Link is right there. And then I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning for another live stream. And that is all we have to do. Everybody take care, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning.